Hello and welcome to the 7th ANS Artisans and Scholars of Darton ANS discussion. I am the ANS officer for the Shire of Darton, and as ANS officer I wanted to make sure that members of the Shire know the depth and range of expertise in our Shire in case they want inspiration or advice in learning a new skill. And this Saturday, this time round, our 7th Artisan and Scholar of Darton is Lady Jennett de la Montaigne, a member of the Lochac Order of the Star and Lily, formerly known as the Golden Lily, which is given for achievement in the arts and sciences. Mundanely an independent costumier, Jennett is skilled in designing, sewing and fitting clothing from all time periods, though she likes 16th century clothes the best. She also has skills in embroidery and fabric printing.
Welcome, and I forgot to tell you leatherworking.
And leatherworking too.
Well. Yes.
Anyway, welcome, Jennett. Thank you for agreeing to submit to questioning.
This sounds fun.
It sounds fun. Excellent. Talking about stuff you like to geek out about, always fun.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Right. So the first question, as things go, is what drew you to your art?
Well, my thing is sewing. I really like sewing and making things. I already sort of knew how to sew. I was taught how to sew, in like those home ec classes at school. But I met this young guy in uni.
Yeah.
The young Diego, and he told me about this SCA thing that he did.
Yeah.
And I thought it sounded a bit weird.
It is, to be honest.
He dragged me along to a first Canterbury fair, and I had to sew a dress for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first picture that I gave you, the first garb.
Yeah, I will bring that up. I just realised one thing I hadn't done was prepare notes so that when I'm making notes at the end of things, I can remember what we talked about. So I was just digging out my pen. So first SCA was Canterbury Fair.
It was my first event.
The young Diego, for those who do not know, Diego is now
my husband.
Your beloved.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was 14 years ago now.
Yeah, 14. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, let me just get that up there so I can see it as well, and then I will quickly share some screen. And I will share that one.
I'll wait until that one comes up. So this was, my first dress.
Yeah.
I really did not like sewing it at the time. I felt it was a chore. And then I was at my first event, and suddenly I realized that there were all these wonderful ladies in these really gorgeous gowns.
Yeah.
And they were looking like they were having fun.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, I think I need to make me one of those. I can try doing that. And then so the next Canterbury Fair was the next picture I sent you, the first fancy garb.
First fancy garb, okay. Let me just stop that one for the moment because I don't know how they're lined up. I didn't number them. Hang on. So this was Canterbury Fair. Tell me about that dress first of all. What sort of era was it from, and what did you base it upon? And
I think at the time we were basing it on the generic kirtle style. It has been 14 years. And I don't remember doing much about it. Yeah.
And what's it made of? You got linen, and is that
it was wool outer with a cotton drill on the inside, I think.
Yeah.
Like a yellow cotton drill on the inside of that.
I think you can see some hints of yellow possibly at the back.
Yeah, down there. Yeah.
Yeah. And you got the pouch.
Borrowed.
Yeah.
And a borrowed chemise.
Yeah. And that side, is that, I mean, I've never seen those before. Is that a particular?
Oh, it's just some side lacing, I think.
Yeah.
We're just lacing.
standard chemise from which sort of century?
I don't know. It was borrowed.
Borrowed. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, not the chemise. I mean the
kirtle.
Yeah.
I honestly would not be able to tell you. I think at the time it was just, let's make something.
Yep.
This is a generic kirtley thing probably from the 16th century.
Yeah.
Given that it's got a waist seam and that low square neckline.
Yeah.
And that's what we went with because it was a easy to do thing.
Yeah. So I can make that in the time I had.
I can make that for my first attempt at sewing, which I did not like at the time.
Yeah. First attempt at sewing or first attempt at sewing garb?
First attempt at sewing a whole dress.
A whole dress.
Ever.
All right. So you said you liked sewing, but what sort of things had you sewed before this?
No, I knew how to sew from home ec classes in high school.
So you'd made the home ec stuff
and things like that. Yeah.
Like a bag and an oven mitt.
I can't even, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So that was the first time you made a whole dress. Yep. Cool. Yeah. And so that was at uni, and then you went to make.
And then I went to that first Canterbury Fair, and I saw all of those gorgeous gowns. And then by the next year, I went, okay, I think I need to make me one of those fancy garbs.
Yep.
Yeah. And so by the next year,
you had the first fancy garb one.
First fancy garb.
First fancy garb. First fancy garb.
I had made this one with some embroidery around the top. This one was based on a Tudor outfit. Yeah. So it's got that embroidered neckline. It's got the turn back sleeves with the 4 sleeves on there, which I think are, snapped in with snaps.
There or in the there?
Yeah, and we had it. Sorry, I'm pointing at my screen, but I cannot do that because that's not going to be.
We're also really small over there when my thing's here. Anyway, yes. And cutouts and stuff,
and there were slashes and puffs and embroidery around there and pearls. Yeah. And figuring out how to actually make it fit properly. Yeah. With a hoop skirt underneath. Yeah. And that hooked me.
What are these?
Pearls.
Pearls.
Those are pearls down the bands there.
Nice. Yes.
And that just hooked me into sewing, and
more
all
of
of a sudden I loved it.
Yeah.
And
cool. So basically, pretty shiny dresses.
Yes.
What I can make. Cool. Pretty shinies. Yeah. I mean, I was already sewing well before the SCA, but because school, home ec at school. But my mum and my grandma sort of let me loose on their sewing machines. But
I remember mum having a sewing machine, and I think she still got it. Doesn't get used very much. Yeah. But it was things like toys and dolls' clothes. Yeah, not big. But it wasn't much, and it was just suddenly, hey, I love this thing. Yeah. I need to get me one of these sewing machines. Yeah. I need to learn how to use one and take care of one and make all the things. Yep. And then you get clothes, because you can get stuff that you can't find in stores, mundanely. And then you can also get the fancy and just have flights of fancy and learn cool shit, right? Yeah. Cool. So was it something you expected to like? Well, no, I don't think I did expect to like it as much as I did. Yeah. It's even gone from hobby. Yeah. Something I didn't like to a hobby that I really liked. Yeah. And now it's my career. Yeah. Now it's something I do for my job. Yeah. And that progression was something that I was not really expecting to love it so much. Yeah. So this went from, how many years ago was the first garb? The first 14 years ago. 14 years, and you've been professionally, well, for pretty much for as long as I know you, I think. So I gained my diploma in 2014. That was a diploma in costuming for film and theatre from Toy for Party. Yeah. Okay. And I would have met you in about 2017 or so, or 2016. So
Yeah.
So yes, I've been
And
doing the professional stuff for a while.
Yeah. And you know, you're like, yeah, they've got fancy websites and everything. So you didn't expect to like it, but you did,
But I did.
which is convenient.
Yes.
What keeps you interested?
Variety.
Yeah.
Being able to make, having the ability to make whatever I want. To be able to look at a picture and go, you know what? I want that. I'm going to make it.
Yep.
And just being able to do that.
Mm.
And it's a lot of it is the methodology. You've
Yeah.
got to make the pattern,
Yeah.
cut out the fabric, put it together a certain way,
Mm.
and then it's very satisfying having the thing at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And then you pounce around it and people go, that's awesome. And you go, thanks, I made it myself.
Yes.
And they go, maybe not quite so much in the SCA because people saw a lot more in the SCA, but mundanely, certainly there's some jewels on the floor. Cool. Yeah, cool. So variety. So, I mean, mundanely you sew anything and everything pretty much, right?
I sew a lot for myself.
Yeah.
I sew a lot for my little man.
Yep.
My 2-year-old.
He's one of the best outfitted 2-year-olds in the SCA.
Oh yes, you wait until later.
Very fancy.
There are plans in the mix for a matching daddy little man outfit.
And of course, as he gets older.
Yes, they're going to get fancy as he starts going to feasts.
Yeah.
I have lost my train of thought.
So you sew for fun, you sew for your family, and then for work you sew.
And then I will be able to sew whatever someone actually asks me to.
Yeah.
A lot of the process is someone says, hey, I need this thing. Can you make that for me?
Yeah.
They'll show me a photo and I'll go, sure, I can make that for you.
It's similar to that, or I can find the pattern in such and such a book and then test how it looks.
Or I usually my process is I look at a photo and then I find some pictures of other extant or similar things.
Yeah.
And I will correlate my own pattern off seam lines that I can see.
Yeah.
Off the way that I know fabric will behave if it's laid out in that pattern.
Yeah.
And I can make it
cut on different things and whatnot. Yeah. So the variety of things you can make keeps you interested. Cool. What surprised you about these things? Of course, we can always talk about leatherworking or embroidery or anything if you wish to as well. And these things. Do not feel you have to stick solely to stabbing with needles. Though with leatherworking, you often stab with needles too. What surprised you?
I'm not sure I really understand the context of your question because that seems very broad.
Well, yes. So what surprised you? So if there's anything that you thought maybe there's a skill that was maybe harder than you thought or easier than you thought, or was there or you like something happened, you're like, oh, is that how they did that? Type skill. Or does it all just make sense considering your training and experience? Yeah.
I mean, this is something that it's been a while since school.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is now just it comes naturally and I can look at something and go, I know how that's going to work.
Yeah, you can.
And we'll try it.
Do the patterns and shapes in your head.
Although taking the 2D to the 3D.
Yeah.
And actually fitting it to the human body and all of the different ways some of the fabric grains can affect it. That can be quite surprising.
Yeah.
So I'm making a caftan at the moment, a silk caftan. It's based on some Atlantic finds, and I've made 2. One
Yeah.
was a fencing caftan and one is a fancy caftan.
Yeah.
And they're both based on the same pattern. Slightly different cuts,
Yeah.
but the same pattern.
Yeah.
One fits great.
Yeah.
The other one, we are having so much issues with the fit.
Yeah. Are they
Something
both
about the
silk,
back
or
panel is just not working.
are they both silk? Was it, or is one like linen for the fencing or something?
One is fustian. So the fencing one works great.
Yeah.
That fits perfectly.
Yeah.
The same back panel on the silk one,
Yeah.
for some reason, is not working.
Yeah.
And we're going through that process right now of trying to figure out
Yeah.
why that's not working. Is it slightly off grain? Is the fact that the front's cut slightly different to the other one
Yeah.
affecting the back?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's that, how do we make this what should be fine 2D
Yeah.
on the pattern? How is that actually going to fit a 3D person with all of their weird shapes and smooth and roundness and
Variations.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because that's one thing I've learnt with when I make my first moi gown. I made out of linen. First two were made from linen because I was going to summer events, and I'm like, I'm not wearing wool. You know, Pennsylvanian Pennsic summer, hot, not wearing wool. And I've since made another one out of wool. And so the first one I made in linen, I made it and cut it and then did all the stitching and everything, put it on, and it sagged.
Yes, I remember helping you figure out what was going on with those gussets under your arms.
Yeah, the gussets and things in the back, and that was okay, but then the rest of it sagged, and then all of a sudden this sagged, and so I had altered the pattern, and then when I made it out of wool, I basically had to go back to the original.
Yeah.
Because the wool didn't stretch the same way the linen did.
Yeah.
And the wool's been fine. But fabrics are interesting. I mean, one's a protein based thing, and one's a plant fiber, and
it's all to do with how it's woven as well, and different looms.
Yeah. Variation creates variation.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's the most useful skill you've learned?
Again, being able, actually it's going to be, I'm going to say, being able to look at someone and being able to judge how big their pattern's going to be.
Yeah. So
a lot of my mundane work is working at a costume shop.
Yeah.
And I've been given that skill now that someone, especially say a man coming in to try on a suit.
Yeah.
And they don't know their suit size.
Yeah.
I can now look at them, look at their body, and guess their shirt and trouser and jacket size to within an inch.
Yeah.
And just say, okay, I think you're actually going to be a 44-inch chest.
Yeah.
Let me get this jacket. We'll try it on. It will fit him across the shoulders.
Yeah.
And he'll be perfectly happy.
Yeah.
And it's the same with being able to pattern. I can go, I can see that this looks like it should fit you.
Yeah.
Let's change this line a little bit.
Yeah. So you know which bit to change rather than going, what's making it wrong.
So I can eye up somebody and translate that to, this is going to fit you.
So your useful skill is a very good eye.
Yes.
Anyway, so what was the hardest or most challenging thing?
School.
Yeah.
Earning that diploma, because that's a very intense diploma.
Yeah.
It's 2 years packed in with leatherworking, millinery, patterning, corsetry, dance wear, theatre shows.
Yeah.
Everything. And that has been the hardest part of this journey, just being able, just packing all of that in and
all the different skills.
Trying to keep a hold of all of that knowledge inside my head.
Yeah.
I feel like I've actually lost half of it. It's probably still buried in there, but it just feels like I don't
You haven't
remember
needed
it
it.
because there was so much going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah. All right, but you've got the skills and the eye now, so you can do, and presumably a bunch of, I can figure that out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I think is half the battle in many ways with my teacher hat on. The confidence of knowing you can figure something out
Yeah.
will get you over a lot of hurdles. Yeah.
Well, even with this caftan that I was talking about,
Yeah.
we've been working on it for 3 or 4 months, just
Yeah.
trying to figure out the different iterations. Will this fit?
Yeah.
Will this small change work? Will
Yeah.
this small change work? And
Yeah.
we're getting close to figuring out why it's doing that weird little issue
Yeah.
of pulling somewhere very small, but
Yeah.
it makes it very uncomfortable.
Yeah. And if it's, if you're wearing it for stabbing, you want to be comfortable.
Yes. Yes, you
Or
do.
if it's for shenanigans, you want to be comfortable for shenanigans. Silk should not be uncomfortable.
Clothes should be comfortable.
You should be able to be swish around in it. It's beautiful and feel beautiful. All right. So, well, clearly your SCA art has helped with another art form.
Oh,
Or
yes.
maybe perhaps in this way, because it's become your mundane career.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, it says, and the question is ultimately, has it helped with another art form? So is there another skill set you have learned that maybe wasn't school or specifically professional that you've been able to use?
Hold on, I'm just looking at. I've got your questions down here so I can remember them when
Yeah.
you finish saying them, because they start in my head as soon as you do.
Well, I'm changing it a bit, so I'm making it hard for you. But is there any aspect of your life that's maybe not directly, you now have a job, professional career from it? Is there any other aspect of your life that your SCA and your skills has helped with, other than having two very fancily dressed men in your life?
No, I don't know. I think it's I think it ties in more to my. I'm going to answer my love of history here.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always enjoyed history, so my SCA art allows me to delve into that research and really enjoy looking
rather
into
than an
it.
art form, it's helping your another interest that may not be an art form, but it's this works.
That's because I mean I've always loved history anyway.
Yeah.
I know I've got old books from when I was 5 of me drawing the exact same dresses that I make now.
Awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, I've always wanted and figuring out where those clothes come from and the wider context.
Yeah.
And being able to do that in the SCA is an interest that I love.
Yeah. And then you get to make pretty things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thought process happening. Yeah, because it's interesting when you sort of the insight into lives that clothing can give you. I think in terms of what we used to mundanely in terms of what we wear, but what they wore and what was practical. And that it's just a different way of wearing or a different way of moving, or it's a having, wearing coifs may feel weird, but it's actually really practical if you don't know not able to wash your hair all the time. And
exactly. Yeah.
And
well, there was a video going around a little while back of explaining how people would walk in those shoes with the really long points and leading with the ball of your foot, and that's how you glide everywhere. And that would change the way you walk, the way you stood.
Yeah, certainly. I know I get much sore feet when I'm the first couple of days at an event when I'm not wearing, orthotics and built up heels and stuff. Yeah.
And that's just fascinating to me.
Yeah.
how it can actually change everything
Yeah.
about who you become.
Yeah. Okay. So you're stuck on a desert island / artistic retreat of 1. What
Yes.
5 tools are you taking with you?
I want to take my pattern drafting tools.
Okay.
Yes. So some paper, a pencil, and a ruler.
Yeah.
And
Paper. Come on, pen. Paper, pencil, ruler.
And Pinterest.
A device with an internet connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's 4.
Chocolate. That's an essential part of any art form.
All right. Yep. Chocolate to chew on while you think thunks.
Yes.
Okay. It's a motivational tool, perhaps.
It's yes, it's part of the process.
Okay. And so you're going to give this pattern to draft, and I mean, I assume that on this artistic retreat of 1, it's a serial piece. So you get one person goes, then they leave, and then another person comes along, and so there's assorted tools and stuff. And so there'll be fabric there from someone else who's done something, creating fabric, and it'll be there. And
yeah,
you'll have something to cut and draw on.
Well, I love the pattern drafting.
Yeah.
Being able to look at an image and go, "Oh, okay, I'll figure this out.
Yeah.
Let's figure out the mathematics behind this.
Oh,
and where's that line going to go?
Yeah.
And figure it out."
I
I would be happy, I think, just scribbling on a piece of paper and trying to figure out the puzzle of how something goes together.
So it's puzzles and geometry and understanding how fabric works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. What's the best non-standard tool you've found?
I would actually say a towel.
Yeah.
A towel can be used for many things. So it can be rolled up and used as like a fabric, a tailor's ham.
Yep.
For pressing your shapes around it.
Yep.
It can be used, especially if you've got a really fluffy, deep pile one, it can be used as a velvet board for pressing velvet.
Okay.
So that the pile of the velvet goes into the pile of the towel and it doesn't crush it as much.
Yeah.
And it can be used as a pressing cloth. I use an old tea towel to put down on my ironing board if I'm doing interfacing, so that the gluey bits from the interfacing doesn't actually stick to my ironing board. So a towel is actually really useful for many things.
All right. Lady Jennett, the hoopy frood, who knows where her towel is. That's the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference there.
All right.
Also, hoopy is just a fun word to say. Do you have any guilty pleasures or dirty hacks?
Guilty pleasures would be Pinterest.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like it because it's just an image and you can't really find the source from it.
Yeah.
But Pinterest is just such a great source of inspiration.
Yeah.
Because you can see an image and go, "Ooh, I like that.
I like that. Now I need to find the source."
I don't necessarily mind about finding the source.
Yeah. If you're not making
something completely accurate to the nth degree,
you're just making something fabulous.
Yeah. You can draw inspiration.
Yeah.
Find something that, or even something that someone else has made.
Yeah.
And go, "Oh, they have done really great.
Yeah.
I really like the way they have put the pearls there.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I want to do that for my next thing."
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be accurate.
Yeah. If it's not, if we're in the SCA, if it's just for mundane fabulosity, which is of course brings just as much joy as the accurate fabulosity.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So I think you'd say it's probably not really that guilty of a pleasure. You're not really holding that much guilt about it, are you?
Because I know that there are some polarizing opinions on the use of Pinterest.
I just don't like it when it dominates search results.
Yeah, that can be annoying.
But the old minus Pinterest, exclude that, thank you very much, yeah, is useful tool.
Or I search if I want to query something, I'll search site.edu, because that usually comes up with stuff. Educational, university peer reviewed research.
Site.edu, yeah. Cool. Okay. What advice would you give to a newbie sewing stuff? And this could be any of the things, of course.
Don't believe Pinterest. Because that's full of gorgeous images, and it's sometimes that's really easy to get caught up, and mine's got to look fancy and beautiful and be completely tailored, and it doesn't have to be. And you can do your best attempt and be comfortable. It doesn't have to be really tight or anything, but as long as you're happy with it and you're having fun at the event, that's all that matters.
And if you want to try to do better the next time, that seems to be a common thread amongst people I talk to here. That's also
you can always ask for advice and work up to what you want it to be.
Because that's the nice thing, is that garb, one piece of garb is not going to last you for life. You will have a chance to make another one, and you can make it better. And we live in a time when we can go straight down to the fabric store and get more just because we want to make a new one. We don't have to spend a whole year's wages on one piece of clothing. Or multiple years growing the stuff and processing the stuff. That's just mad fools like me.
Like certain people.
Certain mugginses. If I've got anything, I would be, if I was relying on what I could grow, I'd have died of exposure by now. Even just sun exposure, being a ginger. So have fun. Also, I think if there are some people who, it has been said in the society that there can be some people who are overly critical, but if you don't listen, just don't listen to them, because it's your best attempt. You're learning. And if you're happy and you're comfortable,
is about it's you have an attempt. And we will kindly sometimes nudge you a little bit in the right direction. If you want the help, then
if you want to make it better, this is what I think you can do.
But we tend to overlook the things that might not quite be right because you're there, and we would rather have you there having an attempt.
Yes, I think also what was quite fun is seeing your first garb and then your first fancy garb. Perhaps because it's also very easy to go, that person is amazing at what they do, not realizing what they came from.
And all the years of trial and error behind that.
I think it might be time for another photo, don't you?
Should we show
just the current garb, or
current garb?
Okay, let's go this one, open that up, and let's share the screen. Share. Here we go. So there's your current garb. Tell us about this.
So this one is sort of 1520s English common woman's garb. Sort of middle class. So I'm getting much more into I've narrowed down what this outfit is. So it's a red wool kirtle. It's got quite short sleeves because you can see that one sleeve. One sleeve has just got the chemise sticking out. The other one's got a sleeve that I can pin on. So I've got some brass pins. That they can pin on the top. And you can see there that the partlet's pinned on as well. at the front.
Yep. Pin, 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 pin.
Yep.
Yep.
Pinned on. I've got the accessories going. So there's an apron there, the
Yep.
partlet. I've got headgear in this one.
Yep.
This is my cute little pointed bonnet, which is a black woolen bonnet with a wire in it to make it stick up at the top.
So the pointed is that the bit at the top there?
That's the point at the top.
That's the point, yep. Which I don't think we can. Don't think is you can see the line here going up there.
Yes.
There is a point up here somewhere.
There is a point just outside the shot.
Yeah.
And it's got a black velvet frontlet.
Which would be lovely against the face, I'd imagine.
On and off. It's just tacked on.
The face. Mm.
Yeah, very lovely. And then I've got a veil on over the top of it on that, just a square veil.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so this is basically, if we just have a quick flash through, if I can find the buttons. Is it going to let me zoom? No, I don't think it is. Okay, let's have a quick hang on, let's see. Will it let me? I don't think it's going to let me go forward and back. That's annoying. It's a quick, I think, tour through the previous photo, as we were saying to the newbies, you go from this, having not sewn much before at all.
And which you can see is not actually I can see now is not very well fitted at all.
Yeah. You would know how to nip and tuck and make some fixes there.
Yeah, I think it was quite loose at the time.
Yeah. And then you go to the first fancy garb. Here again. Come on screen. Hit the thing. Then you go to there. Do you look at that and think of things you could do to improve, or is that you're just stoked that you made a fancy dress, still happy with it?
I can definitely look at that now and go, there are some changes that I'd do to that.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit too short. I can see it's too short on the arms.
Yeah.
So I see my wrist there.
Yeah.
I don't think it fitted that well from memory. I think it's a bit too small for me now. Put on a little bit changed shape a little bit since having my boy. So
yeah,
I don't think it quite fits anymore.
Yeah, but that's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and then you go to being able to make your more fitted,
much more fitted,
much more nailed down to a period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With all the accessories that actually make it look like it stepped out of a portrait.
Yeah.
And but accessories that also make it much easier to spend an event in. So a partlet to keep the sun off, and an apron for when I'm in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Sleeves that I can remove when I want to go into the kitchen.
Yeah.
Or if it gets hot.
Yes. Yeah.
Different headwear options if I feel fancy or cute.
Just want to keep the sun off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Alrighty. So I'm just thinking, what helps if you're stuck with ideas?
I'm going to say Pinterest again.
Or inspiration. Yep.
Yeah. If I'm stuck for ideas, it depends on who I'm making for. Because a lot of the time I'm not making for me. And there are lots of, for me, I've got a big long wish list that I want to make for me. So I feel like that's not an issue for me.
Yeah. I'd do so much more sewing if I didn't have a garden.
Yeah, that's a problem for me too.
Yeah. Yeah. So no problems with that. So tell me then, what medieval item that gives you joy and delight do you wish people would pay more attention to?
More headwear.
That is a recurring theme.
That is a recurring theme.
Pretty much everybody
we're
said
so
headwear,
used to
apart from one person who
not
said
wearing
gutlets.
We're just not used to wearing them
Yeah.
in our modern lives, and having a piece of headwear on just changes everything.
Yeah.
It just suddenly feels like that's who you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I have multiple hats, and I have been known to switch them out multiple times a day at
It
events.
changes sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah. So at this last DA, I went to the feast, started off with my new 1530s fancy lady outfit with the gable hood and the red velvet dress.
Mm-hmm.
And then I changed halfway through the feast and came out in a different dress with the pointed bonnet with the veil on it.
Yeah.
Because I felt like the headgear just kind of makes it.
Like, I want to be a fancy lady with this one now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're interchangeable. You can just take out the frontlet and put on a new one.
I was just glad to be warm in my woolen tunic. Oh, that was a wet DA, that one was. Oh boy.
Oh, it was so awful.
Yeah.
Mud on every hem.
Speaking of headwear, I need a second hood, but I think we've talked about this. Second hood for when it gets damp, because damp bits sit on the top of their head being damp.
Yes.
Suboptimal. Okay, so headwear. Yes, excellent. So what are some common misconceptions about your art form?
That I can wave a magic wand and go bibbidi bobbidi boop. Here it is.
Magic needle.
And that I can make it appear straight away.
Yeah. That's definitely the modern day when you can pay a pittance and get something quick.
Yeah.
What's that Venn diagram? Fast, easy, good, or fast, cheap, good? You can make
fast, cheap, and quality.
Yeah, you can choose two. Yeah. You can get fast and cheap, but you won't get quality. Yeah. Yes. Just from my own experience of sewing things in a hurry, that's when mistakes really happen. Yeah. So yes, no, it's not speed, and that's of course mistakes happen or details get missed, and therefore things then fall apart.
Yes.
Yeah. So no, I was thinking I've got to toss a coin to your what you're going through, but maybe it's like have some patience for your tailor or something. Give some time to your tailor. Or valley of impatience. It doesn't scan. I need to work on that one. Or maybe
I think that ties into. I mean, that ties into our advice to the newbie, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're going to get instant gratification.
Yeah.
If you look at something online.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get that fancy picture straight away.
No.
Got
to give time. But there's also some quiet pleasure to be derived from sitting and sewing.
Yes.
Stabbing things. Repeatedly.
Oh, I want to embroider one of those plaques that say, I have the patience to stab this 1,000 times. I really want one of those. One day I'll find the time to do it.
I had the patience, just not consecutively. I had the patience and the tenacity to stab this 1,000 times over X many years. Yeah. No, life gets busy, doesn't it? I think I know of some projects that in my own family that have run for 20 some plus years. Yeah. So much so that I think when she ran out of thread, it had gone out of the supplier had stopped producing it, and okay. What would you say is the best idea you're working on, and why?
Oh, the best idea I'm working on.
Is any of these pictures you gave me connected to something you're working on?
No, I think I have a photo list written down here when I was going to use them, and I
Okay.
think we've already actually answered those questions, and I forgot to look at my list.
We could go back and look at them anyway sometime.
We can go back and look at them anyway. What am I working on? What I would really like to do.
Yeah.
The best idea I'm working on. In the front of the Tudor Tailor book by Nina Michaela and Jane, I forget her name.
You should look it up. Tudor Tailor book.
The Tudor Tailor book. In the front of the original Tudor Tailor book is an illustrated timeline.
Yeah.
For their book. So it starts at the 1500s, and every 10 years there's an illustration for every 10 years, just as a little simple line drawing.
Yeah.
For men and women in elite and common garb.
Yeah.
And very slowly what I am building up to is my own sort of research timeline.
Yeah.
So taking my research, my pictures and my images, and actually printing them out and sticking them onto a big piece of paper so I can see the linear development of costume. So I've got this I want to do a big timeline.
Yeah.
Very big progress, but
how colours change and head changes and things move and
yes, and using the pictorial references to actually depict that change over time.
Yeah. So would that involve making all of each of these items and then photographing, or just doodling? Well, not
just using doodles and pictorial evidence, so portraits, pictures of extant items.
Yeah. So looking at those images and then really just analysing them and going,
yeah,
oh, this was this. Yeah.
And actually having the physical copy.
Yeah.
Everything printed out and one big long piece of paper.
Yeah.
That I can actually look at and see.
Yeah.
That delineation.
I was just looking, I don't know if I can see any pictures because they probably quite sensibly do not put pictures from the inside of the book online. They want you to buy a copy. Buy a copy.
Oh, yes, you should buy a copy.
Tudor thing.
And their new book is coming to New Zealand very, very soon.
Yeah. Is it? I mean, that's mainly Tudor stuff, though, isn't it? So it's 16th century, which is not my particular era of interest, but I know a lot of people do. So, yeah. Okay. And so what art excites you now?
Lots of different things. Well, I kind of flit.
Yeah.
I flit between what I'm playing around with.
Yeah.
So I've got a few little projects on the go here and there.
Yeah.
I'm working on trying my hand at shoemaking. Just little medieval shoes for the toddler to wear. I think he's already outgrown them. The time it's taken me to make them.
Yep.
But it's learning how to make the little turn shoe. Yeah.
You might be faster at the next pair.
Maybe. Those feet grow very, very quickly. They have to kind of jump to size. So
yeah.
But I mean, that's helpful because it's a little mini thing for me to practice on without having to do a full size shoe.
Yeah.
That might not fit.
Yes, and from size of toddler feet compared to adult feet, you can get multiple shoes in the same amount of fabric.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
Leather. Yeah. Textile.
So yeah, it's doing a little bit of leather work. I've got some embroidery on the go for a chemise.
Yeah.
Playing with that, doing some black work. What else? I've got lots of things on the Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
Myself.
So basically, bits and pieces, variety keeps things from.
Yeah.
So a kind of a follow-on question is, how do you avoid boredom and burnout with your art?
Well, I think that's where we can do another photo. The The castle photo.
The castle photo. Hang on, let's get that thing. Ow! Come on, window. Let me see you. Castle photo.
But I whenever I finish a big project,
yeah,
that's usually when I'm approaching that I want to get this thing out.
yeah,
And then I allow myself a project that I want to do in between.
yeah,
For example, this castle nightlight that I made
yeah.
for the toddler.
Yes.
Because that was something that I wanted to do.
Christmas
not
lights
just for
in
him,
there.
but for myself, because I had this idea in my head and I wanted to get it out into the physical world.
Yeah. So what's it constructed out of? Cardboard, or is there more to it?
It's just patterning paper.
Yeah.
Brown craft patterning paper.
Yeah.
A couple of muesli boxes and some LEDs and some paint and some wonky maths. I think the scale is completely off from the bottom to the top. So it gets smaller and smaller. The scale gets smaller and smaller the further up the tower you get.
It's forced perspective, right?
Yeah.
And from when little man is on the floor, it's going to be even smaller. So it was like, wow, that must be a really tall tower.
And it's meant to be a castle in the sky because it goes up on the corner of his ceiling. So you're meant to look up at it anyway.
Yeah. I remember seeing the pictures of it up, but yeah, that's really cute.
So yeah, for me, it's just allowing myself something fun, frivolous, that kind of sorbet palette cleanser.
Yes. Yeah. Something for fun, something for money, something for fun.
That creativity and being able to play just kind of gets it all going again.
Yeah.
Keen and raring to go on to the next one.
Cool.
So I'm finishing up my next commission and I've got some ideas for what I'm going to do in our project.
Cool. Okay, so that's the last of my questions. I'm trying to if anyone else sending anything else in. Is there any of those last photos we want to quickly just show people and talk and explain where they fit?
Well, actually, if we look at the one with the fabric printing, the
cheating,
I labeled it cheating. Yeah. That was actually the dirty hacks.
A dirty hack. All right.
A dirty hack.
A very clean piece of fabric is a dirty hack. So this, rather than stitching.
So instead of embroidery, painting with fabric paint.
Yeah.
I usually put an LED light box underneath with my piece of paper, and then that allows me to paint really precise lines. And from a distance, it looks like embroidery.
Yeah.
With half the work.
Harder to, if you mess up, it's harder to fix, but I presume you have something to keep it within the lines, or is your hand that amazingly steady?
That was all done by hand.
Oof, steady hand.
Well, it's on linen, which makes it easier because you can usually see the lines, the threads in linen fabric.
Yeah.
Or at least I find it quite easy, and I can see some slight pencil tracings on that.
Yeah.
Where I actually drew my lines on straight. One
slight smudge perhaps as well, but okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna have some bit of imperfection so that people know a human did this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it looks like you've slipped a stitch somewhere.
Yeah. And didn't have time to go back and unpick it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
So it's definitely a dirty hack that I use a lot.
Yeah.
Just do a little bit of fabric paint on there, make it look like a bit of embroidery.
Cool. All right. Anything else that needs sharing of those photos?
Let's see.
That wow, I think client commission. Yep.
Yeah.
So tell me of this one. Why were we sharing this one?
That one was I can't remember what that question was for. Number 3. What keeps you interested?
Okay.
The variety and getting to recreate things like this.
Yeah.
This is being able to take that picture on the right
Yeah.
and say, let's recreate it. And we'll actually recreate it down to the T with the sword and the shoes and everything.
Yeah. And the many fancy, complicated slashes and
lots of slashes, which are all individually backed with silk scraps and interlaced and tacked down to the silk backing.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of work in that one.
Let's just zoom in on, not on the codpiece, but like this, it's this crossed line, this diagonal bit, and
I don't know, but zooming in on the codpiece, there's lots of detail on that too, but
yes,
probably not appropriate for.
This is after the watershed. And the fancy designs there, and then
yeah. So that one had the slashing, appliques, figuring out how to do the drape of the legs, because those are some weird drapey bits, and they've got to not get in the way of you walking or get caught in a sword when it's using sword fighting.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge, and I really enjoyed the challenge of figuring out how that's going to work.
I can imagine one of the first panel you did, and some mad giggling as it turned out well and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being able to see it all come together as well, and seeing the client's face usually when they try that on for the first time, and they get to actually see what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
That's a great feeling.
Yeah, because of course clients don't have your eye always to be able to see in such precision what a bit's going to look like. Right, last one is, I think, one of your wow pieces.
Yes.
Let's just have a quick look at that.
How has your SCA helped another art form?
Well, she can do this.
World of Wearable Arts is a big thing.
In Wellington, yeah. And that is just much peacock.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
This was 2016.
2016. So you got magnificent wig with the birdcage.
Mm-hmm.
Masks. Fan.
And the jacket.
Yes. You got frogging and much sparkles.
Oh, yes. Lots of sparkles. Everything was blinged. There was something like 3,000 hand-applied rhinestones on that.
Oh, boy. Yep.
Yeah. And the pants. The leather pants.
Leather pants, okay. Yeah. And were they painted, or was that picturing? Was it like coloured on the leather, or was it painted?
It was already kind of looked like an oil slick, and then I've painted on the gold and applied rhinestones to them.
Rhinestones.
Bling.
Yes. And then very fancy
latex. I cast latex shapes and attach them to the socks and the gloves.
Yeah. Because movement.
Yeah.
And then very fancy shoes.
Very fancy shoes. And the best part about that outfit was the peacock tail can go up and down.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Do a little shake on stage and then go back down again. Strut around.
Well, I'm going to say wow. Fittingly enough.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we've come to the end of your photos. We've come to the end of the questions. So now we say, if someone has been watching this, hopefully more than one person, hopefully more than just me when I'm editing it, and they have questions, or they wish to say, she's amazing, I want Jennett to make something for me, what should they do and what can they do to be in touch?
they can get in touch through that fancy schmancy website
Yep.
that you mentioned.
Which is
It's
Anna
Stewart costumier.co.nz.
Yep.
And that is the easiest way, or through my business Facebook page, Anna Stewart Costumier
Yep.
on Facebook. There is a waiting list.
Yep.
Currently, it's about 18 months to 2 years
Yep.
to be on my wait list. But it is always a good idea to actually contact me and say, I would like to be on the wait list.
Yes.
Because in 18 months' time, it's still going to be 18 months long.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're able to do this professionally because people know you're good and they want you to make stuff for them, and people are going to continue wanting the stuff made for them. So yeah.
But I'm always happy to offer advice and fitting issues.
Yes.
For SCA people.
Such as my gown.
Because I would like to offer that expertise and help people progress from their newbie to being better at their garb.
People can pay you to make stuff for them, or you can give them a bit of advice so they can make the stuff for themselves.
Yes.
Damn straight. All right. Well, goodness me. So the importance of sticking at it, iterative improvements, towels, and headwear.
Yes.
There are definitely some trends in these 7 episodes. Headwear has come up. Towels has not come up before, but headwear has. So people pay attention to the hats. And chocolate is part of the creative process.
Oh yes, that is one of the most important things.
That is a hill we will die on. All right. Well, thank you very much, Jennett, for your time and your photos.
Thank you for asking me.
And be in touch with her if you want A, advice, or B, something fancy that makes people go, wow.
Yes.
Right. Round of applause. And